We've been kind of bashing it.
Spend all day in government, so my head is pretty much about like how things could be better.
How can you thoughtfully bash your employer? Let's listen to a civil servant's criticism of the civil service. Lee Hong Yi is a director at the Singapore Government Technology Agency. His job is to use technology to turbocharge the government. He's being interviewed on the Silicon Valley podcast.
For the government, how are efficiencies or inefficiencies measured?
I wish I could say they were done very well.
He must be really frustrated. I'm surprised that he started his answer this way. After all, the question is so innocuous.
We do measure efficiency and inefficiencies, but it's I would say it's nowhere near as sophisticated as I think we could be doing.
I like that he gives a bird's eye view of the rest of his response. There's only one thing I don't know. Has he tried to solve things internally? It's always good to use internal channels before raising things publicly. Regardless, we can learn a lot from what he's about to say.
They do measure efficiency in terms of benchmarking. Standard government procedure, you have to ask for 3 quotes and all that. If you're buying a bicycle and the bicycle's way more expensive than what the bicycle should cost, like that gets flagged out by the auditors and things like that. It's reasonably okay at handling line item efficiencies of like over and undercharging.
When you criticize a policy, it's good to summarize the existing policy and what it's good for. That shows that you understand the policy and it prevents people from countering, well, we have this policy because of X and Y. The example of buying a bicycle makes things concrete.
It's not that good at handling sort of like more macro scale inefficiencies where like the structure of the project is wrong, or like actually this could be achieved in a much simpler way if you took a different strategy.
I really like how the answer is going. After he highlights the strengths of the policy, he highlights the weaknesses. It can catch small inefficiencies, but not big ones.
The short answer is we try, we're not doing it anywhere as much as we could be doing, and it sort of works to catch like really simple stuff, but it allows for like much more sort of large scale inefficiencies to occur rather than small scale ones.
It's a good answer, but can it be even better? Perhaps he could have given some concrete strategies to catch large-scale inefficiencies.
I started thinking about organizations as like Rube Goldberg machines. Like, I don't know if you've seen those like videos or comics where like, some guy rolls a marble and the marble like knocks over a domino and the domino like, switches a light switch, which like turns on the fan. And
he paints a vivid picture with words alone. How? By being very precise with words and actions.
Like this really, really like fantastic, complicated affairs. But there's a few properties associated with that. You can make an arbitrarily simple task arbitrarily complicated.
He's clearly thought a lot about this issue, and he's stringing things together in an intelligent, coherent manner.
And not just arbitrarily complicated, you can make it arbitrarily complicated while every component of that being critical. So every step in those machines that you watch, every step, if you took away the marble or if you took away the light switch, the whole thing would just stop working. Piece by piece, everything looks critical and important, but again, that the whole thing isn't efficient.
What a nice analogy of a macro-scale inefficiency. Analogies help a general audience understand things easily. And this particular analogy helps me understand the scale of the problem and why he's frustrated. It's hard for people to argue that a Rube Goldberg machine is efficient at a macro level. There is perhaps only one way to argue against the analogy. Is the current system like a Rube Goldberg machine?
So optimization requires a larger scale restructuring rather than sort of like micro changes. And I think that's the bit of the harder part. Taking the physical analogy of the actual machine, right? Let's say you have this fantastic thing that opens the door. Can you draw a straight line from like, the marble rolling down to opening the door just far more quickly?
Wow, he comes across as thoughtful and constructive. He doesn't appear to have an axe to grind. Indeed, Hong Yi didn't talk about something that primarily affects himself. He talked about an issue that mostly affects his employer. And in the rest of the interview, he explains the value of working for the government and things the government does well.
The only way to dramatically improve human society is to improve how our governments run. And the only way to dramatically improve how our governments run is through technology.
He's so energetic and enthusiastic about making things better, it's almost infectious. There's no perfect way to criticize your employer, but I hope these tips help you give constructive criticism whenever you need it.